Hello everyone out there on YouTube, good morning, and this is Lamin Sani of LSWAT once again. And so before I actually introduce this tutorial video and what we're going to be doing, I just wanted to say, like, I'm going to be doing some mini tutorials before actually I start the main course, because I'm just waiting up for the voting poll to come through with at least significant numbers before I actually start doing one of those courses. So as I have said before on one of my previous videos, there is a voting poll that I put on my website. So if you look at the previous videos that I posted, it will give you the link, and you can go there and vote, select which tutorial videos you'd like to see in the upcoming weeks. But as of now, I'll be doing some little tutorials that don't really take that much time, and we'll carry on from there. Okay, so introducing this tutorial video, I will be doing something called Jquery promises. So the reason I did this was because I actually got asked a question by someone saying, how do I make function calls that take a really long time? And actually this has been a problem that I have hit before in the past as well, and I just thought that I might share that with you. So Jquery promises, what are they? So basically, I'll just start off with a little bit of history that might take a few seconds. JavaScript is a non-blocking program language. Like, what that means is asynchronous, and asynchronous means that if a function takes a few seconds to execute what's inside it, when you call the function, it will immediately return to you. And what's the best way to demonstrate that than by showing you in code? Okay, so here we are in an index.html file, and I have a jQuery file, and I have a custom.js. So we'll link both of those just right before our closing body tag. So let's do a script. Let's say source equals to js/jQuery.js, and we'll link our custom as well. Source equals to js/custom.js. Okay, so let's save that and go in our custom and just say alert, we are go, just to see that works. So let's refresh here, and we have we are go. So basically, if you see in this web page here, what I have is just a blue box, which I positioned absolutely, give it a background of blue with a width and height of both 100 pixels. So what I want to try to do to demonstrate what jQuery promises are is, like, we'll try to animate this object from this position to, let's say, somewhere around here, and that will ask it to take about 5 seconds. If you're familiar with the jQuery.animate function, that's what we're going to be using. And if you're not, then I'd suggest you go to the jQuery website, which is at jquery.com, to familiarize yourself with jQuery a little bit and the animate function. Okay, so that will take about 5 seconds to animate, but we want to do something right after that animation finishes, not before it finishes, but exactly after it finishes. And let's actually try to do it the way that most people normally do it, and we'll see why it doesn't work. Then we'll do it the right way. Okay, so let's go in here and let's see, how do we select that box? It has a class of box, so we'll say $ box.animate, and if you remember, animate takes an object first, and we'll give it the CSS property. So we'll say we want the left property to be, let's say, 200 pixels, and we want that to range over 5 seconds, and this 5000 means 5 milliseconds. That converts to 5 seconds. Okay, so now when we refresh this box should move from this area to somewhere around here. Okay, so that will take 5 seconds. Okay, wasn't here, but yeah, this is apparently what 200 pixels is. Okay, so what do we want to do? Basically, let's take this over here and this animate and put it inside a function. So we'll create a function and we'll call it animate box, and inside that function we'll actually put the animate stuff inside there. So we'll call the function animate box, and let's just refresh browser just to see that that's exactly what's expected. So yeah, it works the same. All we did was wrap the stuff inside the animate box. So let's say we wanted to alert the user that the animation finished, and we do something like alert animation done. Normally what we will expect to see is that after this function finishes, that is, the animation takes 5 seconds to do, then the alert function will pop up to say animation done. But let's see what actually happens. We refresh the browser, instantly the animation done pops up, and when we click OK, this also happens. So what's happening here right now? So basically the way JavaScript works is it will go inside this animate box function, read this code, and then instantly exit and go and execute the next line. So as you know, an alert function actually pauses the screen. Like if you notice, like the animation wasn't working when we refresh this. So this is actually working in the background, but because this is actually here, we won't see. So when we click OK, 5 seconds has passed, so this will actually have ended. So what do we want to happen? Actually, we want that this animates, this function runs, and then when it is done, then this alert gets called. Okay, so first thing we have to do is let's actually create another function called execute after animation. Okay, and what do we want to execute after the animation? We'll say the alert done. Okay, so there is a Jquery the animate function takes an extra parameter, which is actually a function. So we can do something like this, right? And then inside there we can just call this execute after animation. But that's not like the most elegant way. Like basically that means we have to go inside animate box and actually change it. But what if we just want to call we want to call animate box right here, and then we don't want to care about what's inside it. We just want to say when animate box is done, we just want to call this function. And the way you do that is you create something called a promise. And how you create a promise is in Jquery is you create a variable, then inside it you call Jquery's deferred method. There is a method called deferred in Jquery that is sort of like a parent for promise. So when you create that, then after your function ends, you say return deferred. Remember, deferred, this variable is an instance of deferred, but inside deferred there's something called promise. So we return that promise. That's also another function which lives inside of deferred. It's sort of like a subset of this deferred. There's a reason why you can actually return this deferred instantly here like this, but because of security issues you don't want people modifying that, you just return promise. So we return promise here. So now what we are going to do is when we call animate box, the animate box now has this promise being returned when you call it. So after calling animate box, we can call something called done. That is to notify us that this function is done. So now basically we don't actually care what's inside this function because we've asked it to return us a promise. So basically what the promise is saying is, promise me that you will tell me when you are done. So you remember that we tried calling inside the anonymous function here, and then like this, and we could have done something like put alert inside here. But imagine if animate box did more than just animate this thing. If it did like 50 stuff, we should actually go inside all those 50 stuff and try to modify that. But we don't want to do that. We want to say just tell me when you're done. Like I don't care what you're doing, just tell me when you're done. Okay, so inside this done function here we can call execute after animation. Okay, so now let's refresh and see what we have. You see that we are actually, I think we have an error somewhere. So let's see what we have. Okay, let's look at our console. Okay, object function has no method deferred. Oh, I think I spelled deferred wrongly. RRED. Okay, so we refresh. Yes, this animation happens. Let's see what happens when it's done. Yes, it's done, but still the this function isn't being this anonymous function isn't being executed. And the reason for that is because we didn't specify that this promise is done. Like, we returned the promise, but we didn't notify whoever's calling the promise that the promise is done. So how you do that is inside your function, anywhere. It could be after the animation is done. Like, just this animate box function has to notify the caller here that it is ready. And one way to do that is inside this anonymous function. Now we can just say deferred.resolve, and now if we refresh, well, after the animation is done, we should get this alert. So now we refresh this page. Notice 5 seconds. When it's done, we should get an alert now. Yes, now alert happens. Okay, so now you might be asking, why all this complexity? Why don't we just, do it why don't we just put the alert inside here and let it run? But you wouldn't see the benefit of this. But if we had more than one animation happening, sometimes you want to do something after several animations happen. Let's say we have this box, we have another box that we wanted to animate. We call it box2.animate, and that one's animating over 8,000 seconds. So we can have deferred.resolve, deferred. We can have multiple deferreds, and then when all of them are ready, we can actually call the resolve method on all of them, and then we do something when all the animations are done. So you can have animations running with different lengths, and when all those animations are done, you get notified when it's done, and then you do something on the screen. That's when I noticed that this is much more beneficial. But right now you wouldn't see it. But trust me, if you happen to be doing stuff like this, at least now you know that you can use the Jquery promise method to deal with this stuff. Okay, and I do actually have a blog post on this. I wrote it like a few days back, but if you notice that, if you read the blog post, you will notice that the methods that I use, animate box and execute after animation, might be different from what's in the blog post, but it's just method names that are different, but the concepts are pretty much the same. And I'll just Control Z on this just to leave it as it is. So let's refresh once more just to make sure it is working. So after 5 seconds, we should get a pop-up saying animation done, and yes, we do. And yes, now that brings us to the end of this tutorial video. I didn't want it to be that long. And guys, as I said, if you're watching this, please go ahead and vote on the poll on my website, and I will, after the poll has ended, that is, I've got a significant amount of numbers, I should go ahead and actually start doing tutorials that you guys have selected. So I please urge you to do that, please. And that's it for this tutorial, and thanks for watching, guys. And if this was helpful, as usual, please subscribe to my channel and rate this and comment. It really does help. I'm actually getting some really lots of traffic and on YouTube now because of you guys. So I thank you all for watching these tutorial videos and for all your help. I shall see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.